Hi everybody, Paul from E-cigs in Woolston. Wanted to talk to you today about tanks. So, there's a tank, big tank, produces lots of vapour, that's all very nice. Small tank, this is the Aspire K2. Now, first thing to say about all tanks these days is that every tank fits every battery. They're all a 510 connection. So, for example, you can put a small tank like the Aspire K2. You can put that on an Aegis Legend if you like. And all you'd have to remember is that these small tanks use high resistance coils, and if you've got a high resistance coil, you don't want to put very many watts through it, probably 8 watts, maybe 10, maybe 12, probably not much more than that. So obviously this looks incredibly silly and it's a very bad marriage. But there's nothing wrong with it. If you put your Aegis Legend on 10 watts, you can vape on that all day. And because it's a powerful kit, it's got two big 18650 batteries with a tiny little tank on this that will with a high resistance coil that it's not going to give you great performance, but it's going to give you fabulous economy. And a big two big batteries like that powering a tiny little tank like that, it will be quite a long time before you need to recharge your battery, because it's hardly using any watts, 8 watts, 10 watts, something like that. But they all fit. Big battery, big tank, ridiculous battery. These are the little kangaroo VODs we used to sell. It's not ridiculous, it worked perfectly well, but just to do a silly thing, you can see even that fits. But unlike this combination, this one won't work because the battery is not powerful enough to power the low resistance coil that you have in this tank. Now the K2 from Aspire, this little one here, this is a bottom filler. We sell loads of these. I think they're £10 or something. It's a bottom filling tank, so you've got to turn it upside down, take the bottom bit out with the coil on it, and your juice goes in here, not as most of you I think will know, down the middle, but in this space between the middle and the edge of the tank. And that's true for all tanks, except for some of the big tanks. Most of the big tanks these days, really, they're all top fillers. So like this one, which is the Odan Mini from Aspire, you can see you've got this hole here, and all you do is swivel the top off, as I've done there, whack your juice in there, and you don't have to worry about getting it exactly right. The tank does the work. Nice. But apart from that, the thing to know about tanks is that it's just a tube. It's just a glass tube with a coil in it. It's the coil that does all the work. All the tank does is house the coil. And also all tanks these days have to be 2 mil, so they're all the same size. These are the same size. Yeah, I know, amazing. They've got the same capacity. This looks a lot bigger than this, and is physically bigger, but it still only takes 2 mil because it's got this massive coil in it that takes up a load of the capacity of the tank. This one has the smallest coil known to mankind that hardly takes up any room, and here it is in the bottom of the tank. I'll just show it to you. There we are. Smallest coil in the history of the known universe. And it's also ubiquitous because it fits the K2 tank, it fits the K1 tank, it fits, I don't know, quite a few of the older style tanks. And this is something Aspire have been very good at. They bring out this new tank and it's very sexy, very interesting, very exciting. Oh, just uses the same coils I've always been using. Fantastic. So you'd have a small tank like that for a tenner, which uses low power, high resistance coils, which is going to give you a perfectly good vape, but not like loads of clouds and stuff. Or you've got something like the Odan, or well, all of these bad boys really. They're all the same. It's just a tube that you put a coil in. So you might choose the Odan Mini because it looks sexy. Yes, it does. But it really, if you take that coil out and put it in any other tank it will fit, that is, of course, you're going to get the same results because the thing that houses the coil just doesn't make any difference. What we then need to think about is the coils that fit in these tanks. Small tanks, you have high resistance, low performance coils. Big tanks, you have low resistance, high performance coils. The tanks vary in price from about £10 or £12 starting price for the small tanks, which probably I don't know, most customers use, I would think, or I don't know, a good 50%, I reckon. Yeah. So you've got those ones, and then you've got the big tanks like this that tend to be used on the bigger mods, like the Aegis Legend. It's Aegis, by the way, not Aegis. So with a big battery like the Aegis Legend, you can use mouth-to-lung tanks, or it's really a misnomer to call them mouth-to-lung tanks. They're tanks that use mouth-to-lung coils, and even that's a misnomer, as I've said in my video about coils, because you can, apart from at the extremes, you can pretty much do anything, any kind of vaping you like with any kind of coil you like. It's just that it tends to be easier to use a direct lung technique on low resistance coils and easier to use a mouth to lung technique on high resistance coils. You don't really need to worry about the tanks too much, but yeah, 10 quid for a relatively low performance high economy tank, and usually 30 quid, sometimes a bit more, sometimes a bit less, for what I suppose you'd call it a performance tank. That's the variation, and you tend to use the big tanks with the low resistance, high performance coils for direct lung vaping and all the clouds, and you tend to use this one for just a more cigarette-like experience, I suppose, a tighter draw, less vapor, but still perfectly acceptable, much more sort of, like I say, cigarette-like. You're not going to get the big clouds, but only a limited number of people want those. So that's it for tanks. They vary in price, like I say, from between about £10 and £30 up to maybe £35. You can certainly spend as much as you like on a tank, but there's really no need. You can get a cheap direct lung tank like the Odan Mini, or I don't know, any of these other ones, like I say, for about £30, and you're going to get all the performance and an awful lot of deep joy from those. That's it for tanks. Thanks for watching.